Villains. The one character who we shouldn't like, but yet we do. It's not because we like the things they do, far from it. But it's usually for a myriad of other reasons. We like their personality, we like how they revel in their wrongdoings, we like the complexities of the character, and sometimes we like how some villains are sympathetic. Miraculous's Gabriel Press, aka Hawkmoth, and Batman's Mr. Freeze are examples of a sympathetic villain. Hey everybody, welcome to the corner, where it's always a freaking 90 degrees. And today I want to talk about Hawkmoth and Mr. Freeze, and explain how one character does the trope of a sympathetic villain better than the other. Guess who that is? There have been many videos talking about Gabriel Grass and how he's a poorly written villain, and I encourage you to watch them, but I thought that it could be interesting to compare Gabe to one of the most well-written sympathetic villains in Mr. Freeze. I thought that these two would be good to compare since they have similar arcs and motives. Before I get into the videos, few things. One, this video will contain spoilers for Miraculous, Batman the Animated Series, and Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero. So if that's something you care about, skip this video and maybe check out some of my other stuff. Also, I will only talk about Mr. Freeze from the Batman Animated Series, since he's the only version of Mr. Freeze that I am familiar with. I haven't watched the other shows he's in it yet. Thirdly, I don't know if I need to say this, but please don't harass anyone involved. And lastly, these are just my opinions. You don't have to agree to anything I say. If you do or don't agree with something, please tell me in the comments and we can get a discussion going. Alright, let's go. Okay, so how I'm going to go about this video is by explaining how each of these characters' arcs are played out. To start off, we'll talk about Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze was introduced pretty early on in Batman the Animated Series, in the episode Heart of Ice. We start off with a little hint of his backstory with him holding a snuggle up of what I assume is a model of his wife. He strokes it and expresses his love for the woman, and mentions how he is out for revenge. It is then revealed that he has been stealing components from a company called Goth Corp, leaving a bunch of ice and snow in his wake. Batman hears about this string of crimes and pieces together that the bits stolen can be put together to make some kind of weapon, and he deducts what the last piece is and where it is. We then see Mr. Freeze breaking into a warehouse with Batman on his tail. They get into a bit of a scuffle, and something I find a bit interesting here is that Mr. Freeze tells Batman that he should leave, as this has nothing to do with him. But of course, Batman's not just gonna reward this man robbing places. So Mr. Freeze says that since you are assisting his enemy, he is going to continue to fight. I feel that this sort of shows a bit of Freeze's morals. Basically, if Batman ignored him and had nothing to do with Goth Corp, he would have ignored Batman, which I think is kind of cool. Anyway, Mr. Freeze and Batman fight with Mr. Freeze firing his gun at everything and ends up freezing one of his goon's legs. Mr. Freeze is able to temporarily incapacitate Batman, and his frozen goon pleads with Freeze to help him, with another goon trying to vouch for him. But Freeze just says to leave him, that this was the punishment for his incompetence, and if the others try to help, they will suffer the same fate. And this part is only one of the many that really shows how evil he can be. His own goon he has no regard for. He only cares about his goals. And, pun unintended, it just shows how cold Mr. Freeze is. This is immediately contrasted by Batman, who, when he is going to chase after Freeze, his goal, and the goon begs for Batman to help him and not leave him, Batman stops and helps him, showing that Batman has a heart and puts the well-being of others before his goals, unlike Mr. Freeze. Batman then has a meeting as Bruce Wayne with Boyle, the head of Goth Corp, and decides to ask him about who could possibly be robbing him. Boyle then reveals that there could only be one person who would hate his company that much, but that person is dead due to an accident, where that employee was killed by an explosion when him and his security were trying to end an unauthorized experiment. It is also revealed that Boyle is a corrupt, greedy, and cruel human, saying that the motto of his company, the People Company, is just PR, and that if the quote-unquote wage slaves start doing what he doesn't want them to, he will put an end to it. He investigates further and discovers the truth about Mr. Freeze, and we really get a look into Freeze's backstory. Before his turn into villainy, he was a scientist named Victor Freeze, who worked for Goth Corp. His beloved wife, Nora Freeze, was struck with a deadly disease that had no discovered cure. In order to keep his wife alive, Victor made a cryo chamber for his wife to keep her alive until he or someone else found a cure. However, he was using the company's money, even after that they had called off the experiment. Boyle shows up, ready to pull the plug on the experiment. Victor pleads with Boyle to let him continue, or else his wife will die. But Boyle doesn't care. He only cares about his money. Freeze tries to stand up to him by grabbing a gun, ready to shoot him, but Boyle is able to talk him down long enough for his guys to stop Victor, and throw him into some coolants that turn Victor to the man he is today, and causes the death of his wife. Now Freeze is ready to exact revenge on the man who ruined his life, and kill the one person in this world he loved the most. This is a great backstory. It really paints Mr. Freeze as a tragic character. All he wanted was to save his wife, but because of one man's greed, he can only survive in sub-zero temperatures, and his wife is gone, making him a shell of what he once was. Freeze captures Batman and explains that he is going to freeze everyone into the building and kill Boyle. Batman asks him if he's willing to kill innocent people in order to get his revenge, and he says yes. And that is messed up. You see, even though they gave him a tragic story, he's still a villain. He's willing to do awful things for the sake of his revenge. The writers never use his story as an excuse for his actions, but rather a reasoning for why he's doing this. They do many things to show that he is a villain, and even though his story is sad, it is very understandable why he's so vengeful. His actions are bad. Most of Batman's villains parallel him in some way. In the case of Mr. Freeze, he had lost someone close to him, like Batman had. Freeze lost his wife, and Batman lost his parents. But unlike Batman, who became a hero and fights for justice, Freeze fights for vengeance. Batman is kind, while Freeze is cruel. But he's not emotionless. Freeze mentions to Batman that he is emotionless and that he doesn't care, but we know that's not true. This whole episode centers around his love for his wife and his resentment and anger towards Boyle. Both very strong emotions. Freeze attacks the building Boyle is in and freezes all the exits. He then goes to Boyle and freezes him before he's able to finish him off. Batman stops Freeze and takes him to Arkham Asylum, while leaving Boyle there and giving the tapes of Freeze's origin to the news reporter so that Boyle's reputation will be ruined. Which, side note, I like how Batman saves Boyle, but doesn't let him get away with his crimes. He acknowledges that Boyle is as bad as Freeze, and Batman will go on to hold everyone accountable in later episodes. The final scene of this episode has Freeze in his cell, pulling out his white snow globe and saying that he has failed her, as Batman looks on. And this is so beautifully sad, and the writers tie Freeze back to his sad story. They don't shy away that he is bad, but they don't let you forget that he is also broken and tragic. Batman the Anime Series does this well with many villains. The next time we see him is in the episode Deep Freeze, where he is kidnapped by a robot that broke into Arkham. Freeze is then taken to a man who is, I don't remember the name of, but is basically a demented Walt Disney. Something I like is when Mr. Freeze is let free, he sees where this guy lives, which is basically a utopia-like city, and his reaction is basically surrounded to, oh, cool. Which makes Theme Park Man be like, oh, I thought you would say more. Okay. I just think that's really funny. But anyway, Theme Park Man helps Mr. Freeze by making him a new suit and freeze gun, which Freeze immediately uses on his robot and goes to use it on him. The Theme Park Man then tries to reason with Freeze. He tells Freeze that he wants to be like him, because due to Freeze's current state, he is practically immortal. He wants to be immortal too because he has too many things he wants to do. That he sees Freeze's condition as something beautiful. Freeze denies him, telling him that being this way is a curse, which is something he does kind of mention in the last episode, and that he'd do anything to be like the Theme Park Man. But that's when a big story beat happens. The Theme Park Man reveals that he has Nora. He was a former associate of Gothcorp and was very interested in Freeze's experiment. When the accident occurred, he and his men were able to get Nora out and keep her cryostate going. And the look Freeze gives when he sees her is so sad and just shows so much emotion. He thought his wife was dead, but when he sees that she's still alive, he is relieved. He gets hope. He realizes that he still has a chance to save her, to have her back. He won't be lonely anymore. Park Man makes a deal with Freeze that if he were to help him become like Freeze, then he will provide everything necessary for Freeze to heal his wife. Freeze finally agrees. Batman and Robin show up, but are quickly caught and witness Freeze turning Theme Park Man into a superhuman. It will now let this dude freeze all of Gotham, or the world, or something, don't remember. And here's a moment that I absolutely love, and really sold Mr. Freeze to me. Batman tells Mr. Freeze that he will end up killing many people if he lets this man carry out his plan. Mr. Freeze tells him that he doesn't care, he only wants Nora back. That she is all he needs. But Batman says that if he were to let this happen and Nora were to find out, she will hate him, and he will be truly alone. Which sounds cruel at first, but it's true. And Freeze knows this. He tries to deny it at first, but he can't. He apologizes to Nora and pulls his hand away from her, and helps Batman and Robin put a stop to this madman's plan. They end up succeeding with Mr. Freeze pulling out some pretty cool lines. The whole place starts falling apart, and Batman yells at Freeze that they got to go, but Freeze tells them no, that he is going to stay with his wife. Batman tries to get him to come with them but by tying him up, but Freeze breaks through and forces Batman to leave by freezing Robin. The episode ends with Batman saying that Freeze may have survived, and we see Freeze at the bottom of the ocean with Nora as he reaches for her one last time before the screen hits the credits. This is such an amazing moment for me, and not only does it give Freeze more tragedy, but shows that Freeze is able to be good. He can be human. He cares about his wife, that he's willing to do bad things in order to try to get her back, but is able to fight with his enemy and Batman to do something good and respect what his wife would have wanted. The final moment I want to talk about is in the movie Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero. I love this movie, and it highlights all of the features of Freeze that of what makes him a villain and what makes him a sympathetic human. The movie opens up with Freeze in the North Pole getting food with his two pet polar bears and a young boy he has adopted since the last time we've seen him. His wife is still there, and Freeze is slowly trying to come up with a cure. Some explorers then show up, and as they are drilling through the ice, end up destroying the chamber Nora is in. And Mr. Freeze is devastated. The explorers go and see what is ahead of them, and Freeze traps them in ice. It's such a good opening. It seems as though Freeze has turned a new leaf, where he lives a calm, secluded life, and has dedicated his time to saving his wife. And once his wife is in danger, he turns back to the cold-hearted villain we know. Freeze goes back to Gotham and talks to who I think is a former associate, and begs/forces him to find a way to save his wife because now that her cryostasis has been disrupted, her disease is back and will kill her very soon unless they find a cure. The associate says that there is a way and that Nora needs an organ transplant, but due to her rare blood type, there are no available donors, and Freeze gives a dark and desperate suggestion that if they can't find a deceased donor, they will find a live donor. And after the associate finds out that Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, is a perfect match, Freeze goes and kidnaps her and lies to her about his intent by saying he wants to do a blood transfusion, not to steal her organs. But she finds out soon enough. The way Freeze acts for the first part of this movie is very villainous. His goal is very dark, and the way he acts is interesting. He's impatient, he's angry, he's cold, and he's ruthless. You can tell that he's a man on a mission. His wife is on a narrow rope, and he knows that he has no time to lose. There's no time for niceties. You especially see this in the scene where the associate is trying to talk Barbara down by trying to be all polite and calm, and Freeze is just not having it, trying to force her to comply. No kindness in sight. When Batman and Robin show up, they get into a fight. Freeze's associate fires a gun that causes a fire. They're on oil rig, by the way. Freeze tries to force the associate to do the surgery on Nora while the building's on fire, but the associate leaves him and causes debris to fall on Freeze, breaking his leg. Batman tries to help Freeze, but Freeze tells him to save Nora and the boy, which he does. And Freeze tries to help by using his gun to freeze the fire to slow it down. There it is again. Freeze being a good guy. He's helping Batman so that he can save the people he cares about, at the risk of his life. Again, he's in the middle of a fire, and he can only survive in the cold. The rig is collapsing. He is at risk of dying, but he doesn't care. He just wants his wife and the boy to be safe, and he'll do what he can to accomplish this. Batman tries to save Freeze, but unfortunately Freeze falls to his apparent death as the rig explodes. It is revealed later that he has survived. While watching a news broadcast, he saw that his wife was saved. She had gone into surgery funded by Wayne Enterprises. And the news say that unfortunately though her husband is dead, His research had helped save her. And Freeze cries. He cries tears of joy. His beloved wife, the one thing he's fought for all this time, was finally saved. He had completed his goal, and even though he doesn't see her, knowing she's finally revived is all he needs. Mr. Freeze's character is written beautifully. A sadly tragic villain whose evil doings were all to save his wife, but was still capable of good. He wasn't a monster, but a broken and desperate man. There's a little more I want to say about him, but I'll bring them up as I talk about our next villain. Gabriel Agreste. Gabriel Agreste, aka Hawkmoth, is the main villain of Miraculous. And he's a weird one. Okay, so to start, we'll talk about him in season 1. In the first season, he's pretty generic. There's not much to talk about. They do set up his motive. He wants Ladybug and Cat Noir's Miraculouses so he can combine them and make a wish, but doing so will cause the apocalypse or something. And I think sounds like something will be lost. Some Full Metal Alchemist equivalent exchange stuff. I don't know. The show doesn't seem to either sometimes. Anyway, he was really your typical supervillain, which, I mean, sure, the show in the first season didn't have much. It was really your typical magical girl monster of the week show. It was also shown in the show during the first season that Gabriel was neglectful of Adrien and was also very controlling of what Adrien did, keeping him from doing normal kid things and instead pushing him in modeling and other activities. This obviously caused his relationship with his son to be strained, to say the least. But it was still shown that he does care for his son, even if it's just a little bit. Like, I think in the second season, it's the episode Goryzilla, when at first he doesn't want his son to see a movie with Adrian's mom in it, but once he sees how important it is to him, they end up watching it together, which is kind of sweet. And also in this episode, he akumatizes the bodyguard to get Adrian. And at a point, Adrian starts falling while the villain has Ladybug, and we see him actively panicking, and for a second struggles with going on with his plan or saving his kid. And he does end up saving his kid, which shows how much he cares. That even when he's so close to accomplishing his goal, he won't let his son be hurt. Almost like how Mr. Freeze acts in Deep Freeze. He's so close to getting the chance to save his wife, but when he realizes that letting this evil plan play out would hurt his wife, he stops. Another big similarity between Gabriel and Mr. Freeze is their motivations. And it's the big reason why I wanted to compare them in the first place. They both want to bring their wives back. While Nora Freeze has a disease that will kill her, so to stop her from dying, she is frozen until a cure is found. Emily Agreste got an illness from using the broken peacock miraculous to use its power to make Adrien, I think. I don't know. That whole situation with Adrien is confusing, but anyway. She got sick and either died or is in a coma. Again, I don't know. The show never really confirms which one it is, but I'm just gonna say she's dead for this video. Her husband puts her in a Snow White style coffin to keep her body fresh or something, and is planning on bringing her back by using a wish. See the similarities? They are different though, and with the added flavor of him having a son that he is unknowingly trying to kill all the time, like I said earlier, it opens up a lot of possibilities. So what did Miraculous like to do with that, huh? Wait, nothing? Oh no. Alright, so yeah, big problem with Gabriel's character is that he is not consistent. What I mean by this is that sometimes Hawkmoth acts like a villain that is only doing bad things to save his wife, but still cares for his kid, but is obviously misguided by how he's treating him. And sometimes he acts like a maniacal supervillain who revels in his wrongdoings and acts like he just wants to defeat his enemies to take over the world. Yeah, bit of an inconsistency, huh? With Mr. Freeze, he is consistently shown to be very goal-oriented in his mission to save his wife, doing anything to do so, but is still capable of good, and Hawkmoth sometimes comes off like that, but he also acts like your typical magical girl monster of the week show villain. And the problem with this is it makes his character confusing. You don't know which is the real Gabriel. One second he's sympathetic, and the next he's pure evil. It's just pulling us along, and it's just weird and poorly thought out. And not even consistent with how he treats his son. See, Goryzilla showed that he cares about Adrien and doesn't want him to get hurt. They showed this in Style Queen 2 when Adrien got turned to a glitter statue. He was visibly upset, but reluctantly lets the plan go on. And I personally feel that if Ladybug was to almost fail in saving Adrien, Gabriel would have revoked the Akuma or something to save his son. So they've established more than once that he cares about Adrien, and as Hawkmoth doesn't want to hurt his kid, So naturally, this will raise some questions about how Gabriel will react when he finds out about Adrian's true identity as Cat Noir. He would probably either stop being Hawkmoth immediately, or at least seriously reconsider his plan. Well, the show actually shows us what he would do in 2 episodes. At least 2 episodes I'm aware of. First is Cat Blanc. I remember when this episode was coming out, the fandom were freaking out about this idea that one of our main characters was getting akumatized. I like this episode, but there's a certain event that makes no sense with what was established when it comes to Gabriel. In this episode, it's showing that what would happen if Adrian found out who Ladybug was. At one point, Hawkmoth tries to akumatize Marinette, and Adrian turns to the Cat Noir to save her. Natalie sees this and snitches to Hawkmoth, and this is the moment where you would be expecting Gabe to panic a bit at the realization that he's been basically trying to kill his son. But instead, he looks shocked for a second and immediately gives an evil grin, and then proceeds to psychologically torment his son and decides to play baseball with him. But Cat Noir is the ball and hits a home run, and forces the akumatizing him and indirectly causing the world to end. Father of the Year, everyone. The big question this brings up is, well, why would Gabe do this? It's been shown more than once that he cares about Adrian, and if it's possible, keep him out of the villain BS as much as he can. But then this episode happens and he can give less of a shit about his kid. I think there could have been a way to have Hawkmoth akumatize Cat Noir and still fit his character. Instead of him becoming a heartless monster, show that maybe he becomes desperate and struggling between his goals and his morals. Like, he finds out this info and realizes that he could totally akumatize Cat Noir, but the idea that doing so would akumatize his kid makes him struggle. He knows that doing so is horrible, but it could make him accomplish his goal. Maybe like lose his sanity a bit, show that he is desperate to get his wife back, that he's willing to do this, but showing that he is regretful of the actions he's about to do. Have him try to convince Adrian to join him to save his mother. And the information and the pushing from Hawkmoth causes Adrian to start to turmoil, and Hawkmoth takes the opportunity, but isn't thrilled about it, saying something like this won't take long. Heard that this is a different timeline, so that's why Gabriel was acting like that. But then Ephemeral happened, which is basically just Cat Blanc 2 Electric Boogaloo, and Gabe does everything he did to Cat Noir and Cat Blanc. Except the Smash Bros. Final Smash move. So he is willing to do other horrible things to Adrian. Like how in Season 5, where he at first tries to get close with Adrian since he is about to die due to a cataclysm wound. Yeah, that's good. But then he decides to be even worse than he was before and locks him in a padded prison cell for whatever goddamn reason. So yeah, it seems like any love and any sign that he cared for Adrian was just thrown out the window. Aside this huge inconsistency with Gabe's character, the other big moment is one moment regarding his wife. This whole show is about how he wants his wife back and how he'll do anything to do so by getting the wish. But at one point he gets a chance to save her without it. Natalie makes a USB that has the information to fix the Peacock Miraculous. And at the time, Gabriel was Monarch and had all the Miraculouses, including the Bunny Miraculous. So he could go back in time and give it to his wife, effectively saving her. And none of this pain would happen. So he transforms, goes into the burrow, and is just about to drop the USB for his wife. His arm is basically in the portal thing. And he sees a Lucky Charm that Ladybug left. And instead of dropping it and then grabbing the charm, he does it and gets a charm instead. And that is so messed up. He chose villainy over his wife. He says he loves her and would do anything to get her back, even abusing her son. Why would he not take the opportunity to finally have her back? It is not at all consistent with what we've been shown so far. And it's just so stupid. Like, I understand Gabe can be kind of stupid sometimes in episodes, but like, this is so bad. The one thing we had going for Gabe, which was his sympathetic traits, is just not there. Even the show calls him out for this. That's when you know something's wrong. It just makes no sense. If we compare him to Mr. Freeze was shown that he'd do anything to get his wife back. And, like, villainy was never something that he I don't think he ever genuinely enjoyed doing. He did it because he had to. He felt he had to be a villain in order to save his wife. So for Gabe to be shown that he's like that, but then choose villainy makes no sense. And it doesn't make him sympathetic anymore. He's just pure evil, using his wife as an excuse for his actions. Which is just not how you're supposed to write a character like this. It makes no sense. God, if I don't know. I gotta move on, or I won't shut up about this. Yeah, so I realized I didn't really go into Gabe's backstory, but I did it for Mr. Freeze. Yeah, nothing never Gabe really. He's a fashion designer. He's very rich. He's bad. He stole the butterfly and peacock miraculous. I guess with Emily. I don't know and I don't know. And then she died, and then now he's Hawkmoth. There's not much. Yeah, just felt like I had to say something there because I realized I did it for Freeze, but him. Anyway. So yeah, Gabe sucks. He's horrible. Like the thing was like trying to make him sympathetic, but then they weren't like consistent with that. It's just annoying. I just went into it. What am I saying? Anyway. So another thing, a reason why I wanted to compare Gabe and Freeze is that they both get redeemed in the end. Like Freeze, obviously, what I just said, he was shown to be able to willing to help the heroes, and in the end, got what he wanted, just not in the way he was thinking of doing it. Because yeah, in the end, like wanting to save your wife isn't like that villainous of a thing to do. It's just they just had to stop him from doing it the way he was going to do it, like killing people and stuff. So yeah, but Gabe also gets redeemed, and it's the most dumbest thing I have ever seen. So Freeze only showed up in like 2 episodes before like the new Batman Adventures happened, which was like I said, Heart of Ice and Deep Freeze, and then he had a whole movie, which isn't much in the grand scheme of things, but the way they wrote it and it led to his redemption worked. They had to be pure, basically, that one on pure evil. He was mostly a villain in the Heart of Ice, but had sympathetic traits. And you felt for him, so you weren't like you didn't hate Freeze, or you didn't think he was like a monster, like so like the Joker. You knew that like he was that there could be a chance. He's written like almost like Harley Quinn, where she's villain, but you could tell she still have a chance to turn over a new leaf. And that was with Freeze, and then Deep Freeze happened where he really helped them and showed like more of his character, how he is, and he helped them. And then the movie, well, not the whole movie, so it gives you a good amount of time to set it up. Again, he kind of did revive his role in Deep Freeze, where he was a villain for most of it, but at near the end, Churn was good because he wanted to save people he cared about. He was just obviously doing something bad. And in the end, Wayne helped him because, you know, he helped him, eye for an eye in a good way. And again, like Freeze's goal wasn't bad, it's just the way he was going about it. Gabe is sorta that kind of like he's okay. What I'm trying to say is Gabe's goal is good, like him wanting to bring his wife back. Okay, cool, good job. Obviously it's the way he's about it that's wrong, like how Mr. Freeze is, because Duke making that wish will end the world. So we can't do that. This whole show has been saying we can't let Gabe get this wish because it will cause the end of the world, or someone else will have to die in order to get his wife back, or both. I again, not they don't really could say. At least I don't remember if they said. But and just quick warning: I haven't seen the finale of the show, but I know what happens, and it's so stupid. episodes, I'll be a rant of what the hell they do with Gabe's character and what happens in that final season or final episode. So, yeah, again, Gabe's been shown to be basically pure evil. They try to make him sympathetic, but he's basically just evil for the sake of evil with that, like, flimsy goal. Well, not flimsy, but he's not consistent with going to it, as we saw in that one episode with the whole bunny miraculous and him. Anyway, so yeah, and then in the final episode of the final season, I mean, for now, because they're coming out with more, he has Adrian locked up, and Plaque gives the miraculous. He takes it away so he can give it to Ladybug, so that she could combine them and or whatever and fight Hawkmoth, fight Monarch, which is one stupid and one change because like the show's called Ladybug, Tails the Miraculous, Tails, Ladybug, and Cat Noir, and Cat Noir's not in the finale, but whatever. And she fights him, and she wins. And like, remember, I already said all the bad stuff he did, right? He's tortured his son multiple times, akumatized him twice, even though we went back in time and like made it like not happen. He did it. He did it. He's terrorized Paris for a whole year. He's even like if you're not talking about like the times he akumatized his kid, he's still like abused his kid. You know, like he's in a cell right now. He's in a padded cell right now because he's crazy. I don't know. And then Marinette forgives him for all the stuff he's done. And then lets him make the wish. Which, okay, like, so much wrong there. Like, how do I say this? How do I don't know. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. This whole show. Because, like, Hogwarts the only villain. Oh, he's the only, like, main villain. Because, yeah, we have the Akuma villains, but they're only there for, like, one episode, and then they reuse them too much sometimes. And then, like, we have no other villain to back off on. It's just him. And then my girl was there, but she didn't do jack. And then he became Shadow Moth, which was just a combine. I don't know. And so, like, they try to make him sympathetic, but because of, like, everything we've seen, he's really not. He's evil. And, like, he's done bad things. Even if he's sympathetic, he's done bad things. And, you know, like, again, Mr. Freeze, we acknowledge that Freeze was doing bad. He was trying to kill people. Like, in the first time we see him, it's just after revenge. But obviously, like, what the show is, you know, like, yeah, people dying. And Batman's saying, he's like, no, he doesn't want, like, people to try to kill people, even if they're bad. He's gonna stop them. And just make sure they both get held accountable. You know, Freeze went to Arkham because he was crazy and trying to kill people. But then Boyle got his reputation exposed and, you know, basically ruined his company because he's an asshole too. And then in Deep Freeze, he gets called out again because that's literally how Batman stops him from doing it. Is being like, dude, this is messed up. If you do this, your wife's gonna hate you. And then in the movie, we don't even need the show to tell us. We know it's messed up that he's trying to kill this girl to get her organs to save his wife, which is like really messed up. And so, like, yeah, they acknowledge he's bad, and he does, you know, get punished in a way, or at least he backs out before he does it, right? Because, I mean, like, Deep Freeze, when he gets stuck in the bottom of the ocean, obviously he gets better. He's fine. But, you know, he makes up by helping Batman. He doesn't go on, he doesn't let the plan happen. He stops himself. Same thing in, sort of the same thing in Sub-Zero, where he, you know, he gets caught, and at first he tries to, like, just keep doing it, but then he gets stopped, and he's like, okay, plan B, I'm gonna save my wife. I can't be doing this. I can't do this. Like, he always like, okay, I can't do this. I need to save my wife. I can't let this happen. So he stops himself, and he gets his leg broken, and he's dead. But because, like, he was helping, like, every time this happened, he would go and help. He would try to, like, make up for it. And then he got rewarded in the end with his wife being alive, which is all he really wanted, was her alive. Even if he wasn't there, as long as she's alive, that's all he cared about. Gabe never had any of this. He never once did he like decide to be good and like help Ladybug or Cat Noir. He was the only villain. He was always evil. Right? Like, I don't even know if there was ever a time where he ever did anything good for Ladybug and Cat Noir. He never did. He was constantly causing shit. And like like nothing happened. He never had like with Freeze where he's like an anti-hero or does something good. He does always done bad things. The one like good thing he did was like every now and then letting his son go and do something fun and letting him watch a movie with his mom in it. Like, that's it. That's all he did. That's not enough. And also because of, like, what we've seen him do, it's like, no, you don't get forgiven just like that. Because Gabe never had a sign for redemption until the final episode. In like the ending bit, he gets redeemed, which is like so dumb. Like, not only this video about how he's a horrible sympathetic villain, he's also a horrible redemption. It's like Freeze, yeah, he didn't have a lot of time to be redeemed. One, the way they did it was good, and two, he at least had an episode and a movie to sort of redeem himself. Gabe had one episode, and not even a full episode. He had like the very end, where he just gets forgiven, and it's also like, why is Marinette the one to forgive him? The one person who should be like, he should be apologizing to is Adrian. He's caused this boy so much drama and pain, and he just gets forgiven by the one girl who has nothing to do with this shit. And it's so stupid. And then like him making this wish. He won. He got what he wanted. See, with Freeze, when he got his wife back, obviously it didn't happen the way that he was going for. He in a way he didn't win, because his plan was to steal Barbara Gordon's organs and, do the surgery like that. But that didn't happen. So his plan, in a way, failed. His plan did, but his overall goal was accomplished because they did it in like a proper way by, how you're supposed to do like organ donor surgeries, And so, yeah, but Gabe, he made the wish, which is this whole show, all 5 seasons. They say like, no, you can't make this wish because the world will end, or someone will die, or both. And then they just let him do it. It's like, I don't get it. And then he dies. And he's like, in the world he like create or something. I don't know. They portray him as a hero, which is so dumb. Like, I'm pretty like in oh god, Mr. Freeze. I'm dying. Oh god, I can't. Oh my god, Mr. Freeze. He like when they think he's dead. I'm pretty sure they still acknowledge that he was a criminal, but they were like his research still helped save her. Like, they acknowledged that he was bad, and like everyone there knew he was bad because everyone knew who Mr. Freeze was. And like Gabe's like, I get it because no one knew he was Hawkmoth, but like to call him a hero after terrorizing Paris. Like, yeah, I get the characters in the show don't know, but we know that he's a garbage human. And God. And then to call him a fucking hero. And then Marinette knows because she saw it, right? She saw this happen. She saw that he's Gabriel dressed as Hawkmoth. She knows. And then, like, he is portrayed as a hero. And then Marinette never tells Adrian that his father was Monarch. And he says he wants to be like his father. Excuse me, what do you mean? My god, I can't. Can you tell this video's off script? Because it is. At this point. Because I can't. It's just a rant at this point. But like, he's like, what, Adrian, did you forget all the shit, did you? Why would you think that? And Marinette, you need to tell him. You can't hide something like this from him. And he wants to be like his dad because he's a hero. He said like Gabriel defeated Monarch, he's arc. And then, like, to do this, like, Adrian, he did so much to you. And you never got closure. Like, why would you want to be like him? He was horrible. You. And it's like not even like Gabriel ever forgive, like apologize to him. So why is this happening? Because like Gabriel needed to apologize to him. They should have had a scene where Cat Noir like gets after his dad for causing all this shit. Because Adrian is so accomplished in the plot as well, and then he's just not there. And oh my god, it's even a Gabriel Gross video at this point. Anyway, uh, God, I can't. It's just so stupid. Why is he forgiven? It's like the redemption for Gabriel came out of nowhere. Mr. Freeze, at the least, you could tell that like there was a chance, and they stayed consistent with him having a chance. With Gabriel, it's like maybe if they kept him being sympathetic, we could be like, oh, he has a chance to be good. But they don't. He flip flops between psycho supervillain. So like, and also like in some like the final stuff before this redemption happens, he is pure evil. So yeah, we're gonna be like, oh, he's evil. He's gonna get his comeuppance. And also with the whole like his goal being constantly said throughout this whole goddamn show that doing so will cause the world. We cannot let this happen. They let him win. He makes the wish. The world ends, and it's like reset, and he's regarded as a hero when he is not a hero. He didn't do jack shit. He won. I'm gonna cry. So like, yeah, it's so stupid, and it's like he's so. I can't. Gabe is just he's written so bad. The redemption came out of nowhere. And that's why I think Mr. Freeze is written so much better. Because, yeah, he's in less episodes. He still had more character and more growth than Gabriel, who's been in this show since day one. And, jeez, I feel like another thing, too, was like was so messed up with Gabe's arc, too. It's just like, we were stuck with him for 5 seasons. People were sick of him by, like, season 3 at the most. And then he was there, and we're like, okay, fine, okay. Like, everyone's waiting for this guy to leave. Like, they doesn't want him there anymore. And they're like waiting to get his comeuppance. Like, you've seen all these horrible things. And we're like, okay, he's gonna get his comeuppance. We're gonna teach him a lesson. And then he doesn't learn shit. They don't defeat him. He just he doesn't even sacrifice himself. He makes his wish and he dies. I don't know if we're doing a like body trade thing, maybe he gave his body to get her back. But then there's the chance that he didn't even bring his wife back. He brought Natalie back, which I guess she died. I didn't know she died, but I guess she's dead. And then like not consistent because it's like there's a woman there. You think it's Emily, but it's not Emily. It's Emily, and I don't know anymore. It's just none of this show makes any goddamn sense. I'm crying. I can't. It is. Oh god. It's like that's one thing. It's just like the payoff for Gabriel's arc was just horrible because everyone's waiting for him to at least get confused, especially with how they were portraying him as like basically a supervillain, like didn't care. And then he's just so confusing with the way he's written, and it's just oh my god. Yeah. So yeah, you can tell that I like Mr. Freeze way better than I like Gabriel because Mr. Freeze is consistent. He's written beautifully. And he's one of my favorite Batman villains. Like, he's not my favorite. Two-Face is my favorite. Two-Face and Harley Quinn are my favorite. But he is up there. And then Gabriel is just awful. He had so much potential. If they had written him well and stayed consistent with either or, he would have been fine. Like, if they want to make him sympathetic, make him sympathetic. And stay consistent with that. Show him that he is only doing this for his wife. And he cares about Adrian, even though he's, doing all this bad stuff. Like, show that he's bad, like, because he's a villain, right? He's gonna do bad stuff. He's traumatizing people, he's not taking care of his kid. But show that he's, he's doing this bad stuff because he wants his wife back. And then, in the end, maybe show, like, some not in the end, but, like, it's so, in the show, so some moments where he's, like, maybe doing something good. Like maybe there's something where a villain goes too far and he's able to stop it. You know, like if Mayura, maybe she makes a sentient monster that goes out of control. And then he maybe tries to help them fight it. Something. I don't know. Give me something. Because if you're going to make him redeem, like if you're going to go for redemption, you got to leave some stepping stones. Like having a sympathetic backstory and sticking with it is one way, but then showing him doing some good things here and there lead to it, right? Like show that there's more to him. Like other good examples of character redemptions. I know Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender is a very good example of that. Chloe was almost like that, but they threw it away. But in the beginning, when they started trying to set up her sympathetic, not sympathetic, redemption arc, it was good until they got rid of it. But like at the time, right? And then if you don't want him to be sympathetic and you want him to be pure evil, let him be pure evil. Don't flip flop between him being sympathetic and being evil. Just make him evil. And if you still want a redemption arc, again, just leave stepping stones for him being redeemed in the end. And if you don't want that and you just want to be pure evil, let him be pure evil. Let him get the consequence of his actions. Let him lose. And, there you go. And if you wanted to combine the two, like his goal is sympathetic, but then he's lost sight of it, and then have him not win, and have him show that what he was doing is wrong. Because also there's this thing too with Emily where she didn't want to be brought back, but he was still doing it, so maybe calling him out for that, which I think they kind of do, but it's not done well. I don't know. It's just there's so much you could have done with Gabe. I feel like he really could have been a good villain. Like season 2, he was good. I liked him. He was alright. Like he was my favorite villain all the time, but he had his moment, especially the moment in I think Style Queen where he almost gives up. I liked that because it was showing his sympathetic side. That he was desperate and he was giving up hope, and then obviously went back to be Hawkmoth, which whatever. But still, it gave him death, and then they just threw it all away. The redemption is horrible. The season 5 finale is awful. It ruined so much. I hate the redemption. I don't like it. There's a way you could have done redemption, but he didn't do it good. Mr. Freeze is a really good example of a redemption kind of arc for him. And it's just, it's... Gabe is bad. Gabe is bad. I'd probably stop talking now, or I'll just be talking in circles. But yeah, I believe that Mr. Freeze is a good example of what to do writing a sympathetic villain, and Gabe is an example of what not to do, especially when it comes to redemption. Okay, that should be it for me. I need to stop talking, or this video is almost an hour long because, God, the ending of Gabe's arc is so bad. If they do they are making a season 6, so if you're ending it's Lila, so hopefully she's written better. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed your time in the corner. I hope if you have any comments on this video about my opinions, if you want to add more, because I know I kind of rambled at the end there, go ahead and leave a comment. I'd like to see your opinions. Let me know if you want me to make more videos on Miraculous or anything else. I mean, I've been thinking about talking about Batman now. I'm thinking some stuff about Batman, so be on the look for that. Yeah, if you want to see more of my art shown on here, go ahead and follow my Instagram, same name as my YouTube channel. And yeah, that's it for me. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.